Hey, Curtis,
Hey, Oz.
you got a guest for us this week?
Well, who the
Hello.
Patreon subscriber Erin A? What are
Welcome to
you
the
doing here?
welcome to the program.
Wow, well, I'm so excited to be here with you
The
guys.
program.
The program.
Program.
We're excited to have you,
Yes,
Erin
we are
A.
thrilled to have you, Erin A.
Very much so.
Yes,
Curtis, did Erin bring a movie that she's refusing to do a movie marriage for?
she did. So I am going to bring a movie to its holy matrimony right here.
Oh, fair enough.
We've got Gross Point Blank meets Crank. Throw in some Bridesmaids, and why not a pinch of the George Lazenby Bond movie?
Oh, fair enough.
There we go. This week we're bringing Spy.
Nice.
I almost said Crank again.
I
We're bringing Spy. It's
Gross-
Spy. It's named Spy.
Yeah, it's a
my
gross point crank.
Gross Point Crank.
I was expecting Get Rich or Die Trying with just a little bit of 50 Cent in there.
I could have thrown some video in there. Yes.
Just enough. So, welcome back, listeners and viewers, to another week of Let's Talk About Flicks, that podcast where we take a monthly theme. This month being Patreon Subscribers Choice Month.
Yay!
And we are here this week with Erin A. and her addition to the program,
Yeah.
Spy.
Hey, Erin, what is your connection to this show and to us?
Well, I'm your little sister, Curtis.
That's right.
Which I want to lay out a disclaimer. Don Shanahan is not actually anyone's cousin on this show.
Well, according to real cousin Michelle, he is actually a distant cousin.
Is he? Okay.
Yes. So when I say cousin, I guess I'd be more accurate if I said like fourth cousin thrice removed or something.
Well, that I
like
didn't know. I just
Yes.
know that week 1 was your wife, week
Yes.
2 was your cousin, week 3 is your sister,
Yes.
and next week in Appalachian Podcast
Yes.
Month we have.
Yep. Let's talk about inbreeding.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? It's like, and I'm like, I don't have anybody to come to the show, and then the one guest that actually isn't related to you doesn't want to come on the show, which she's like, I can't. Like, Curtis gatekeeps all the guests on the show.
This is all just a big power move.
If we've not exchanged Christmas gifts, you're not allowed. So,
yeah.
But it is your week, as you have brought Erin, and we are thrilled to have you on the show.
Yes.
Thank you very much for joining us. Sit back, relax, and
Yeah.
let a couple of professionals handle this.
and then we'll follow them.
Exactly. Yeah. Anyone?
Yeah.
Anyone?
So pre-show we were talking about how long Erin A has known. I guess the duo of us.
Just the two of us.
Yep. So Erin, you mentioned going back 25 years.
Yeah.
25
Well, of
years
course,
recording.
I've
Yeah.
known Curtis my whole life, so that's 40 years. But
Yeah.
then meeting
And I've known you almost my whole life.
almost your whole life. And then when you went to
Almost
Western
my whole
Illinois
life.
University, you met Oz, and you guys have been best friends since
Mhm.
for 25 years,
Yeah.
which is
We have.
so crazy. So
Yeah.
Which is pretty crazy because there are people that I have known from Western. There are people that I've known from Western longer than you were at Western,
Mhm.
and they're not on the show. So it just shows the power of friendship. Really, like you
Yeah.
even bailed. You're like, oh, I'm tired of this schmuck. Let's get
Yeah.
out of
It was-
get out of Macomb.
I mean, I didn't want to say it like that, but like,
You didn't have to say it. I've never seen a Corolla squeal its tires on the way out of a parking lot.
yep. I took out the local family video on my way out of town.
Fishtailed all the way down Jackson. Oh, but it is your plot this week.
Yeah, so you've got the characters for 20-15 Spy.
I do. We have we've got kind of an A-list group of
We do.
of stars here,
It's a
led
lot of people in this movie, Erin.
Mhm.
led by Melissa McCarthy herself, playing Susan Cooper, a very Bondish. No, it's not. It just rolls off of that like, I think she's my insurance agent, Susan Cooper.
Yeah.
Um,
You know, she's going, using double coupon day at the
Oh,
local Kroger.
That's where Cooper comes from. Her actual last name's Johnson. So, but yeah, we also have Jason Statham as kind of an undercover operative, Rick Ford. Jude Law as a double undercover operative, Bradley Fine.
Spoilers.
Yeah. Rose Byrne as the big baddie, Raina Boyanov. Allison Janney shows up. 50 Cent shows up. Michael McDonald shows up. Ben Falcone shows up looking for a Popeye's chicken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be a Melissa McCarthy movie.
No. He's a writer in her contract. Zach Woods. I love Zach Woods.
Oh, God, Zach Woods is hysterical.
He's probably the funniest person in this movie, just naturally. Like, just with his improv background, and really just a bunch of other people in this movie. Nobody of really any shining importance. Bobby Cannavale shows up. Paul Feig has a cameo. Like, it's we
get Pete from Shaun of the Dead.
Mm-hmm.
We do get Pete from Shaun of the Dead. We get Joe Cool from Batman, like the first the dark, or what was the first one? Wasn't
Batman Begins?
Yeah, that's it. I couldn't find the second word to that one. But other than that, just a lot of people.
There isn't
one of my celebrity crushes, Morena Baccarin.
Oh, that's
is in this.
true. There is the guy that plays the flight attendant in the movie Bridesmaids. If you remember, his name was Steve, and Kristen Wiig's character called him Stove. He also plays a murderous flight attendant in this film.
Oh, he's a Paul Feig staple of a flight attendant.
Yeah.
So,
well, again, Bridesmaids in the movie Marriage was the obvious one with actors and directors.
Yeah, I was waiting for Kristen Wiig at some point, but I like this movie. So that takes care of the cast of characters. What are the cast of characters up to in this movie?
For the plot of Spy, again, this was my first time watching this movie, and Patreon subscriber Erin A, I am so glad that you brought this movie up, because I am a better, more rounded person for having watched this movie.
Can I ask you a question, Curtis, before you start on?
I guess.
Fine. What were your pre-watch expectations of the movie?
Sure. I was expecting something like funny, but not quite like what we got here. I was not expecting. Well, part of it was because, and Patreon subscriber Erin A, this might sound like a backhanded compliment, but
I was waiting for something.
However, and I don't think it's a secret for those who know Patreon subscriber Erin A that you are a relatively modest person. That's one of your defining traits, and like that. And like defining in a good way.
You tell everybody how modest you are.
Yes. You most arrogant, modest person. No.
Yeah.
And the fact that you brought what's basically like The Hangover Part 4 to us. Like I was a little surprised when we're a third of the way through the movie and like every other sentence is dropping the F word. And then
a lot of them. And some of them funny, some of them like, all right, we get it. This movie's rated R.
Yeah. Well, like,
you're not trying to like work your way up to a free sub with all the F words.
Well, I don't even remember when or how I first watched it, because of course I saw Bridesmaids and I love Melissa McCarthy in Bridesmaids, and I mean some of her other stuff is
issues.
just.
We've got a frozen Erin A right now.
Oh, there she is.
Oh.
It's like my favorite scene in Dude, Where's My Car?
So, Erin, you were saying that you just sort of stumbled across the movie?
Yeah, I don't remember when I saw it or anything about it, but I thought it was just hysterical. And so I bought it on DVD because this movie
2015 or after.
Yeah. So I watched it I bought the DVD and and the first one went, bad, got scratched up, and now I have it on a second DVD. And of course, this was before all the streaming. So yeah, I wore out my first copy, I guess, because I just loved it. I thought it was hilarious. And whenever I'm sad or need a laugh, I just turned it on.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, and I can see why.
Few people can wear out a DVD, but I'm proud of you for
yes.
My original disc had seen so much laser.
It just burned a hole right through it.
Which actually fits with the theme of the movie.
Yeah.
So, what do you got for a plot?
Yeah, well, we open in Bulgaria with some kind of cheesy spy movie music playing as Jude Law's Bradley Fine attends a fancy party. He ends up confronting a man in the basement who's stolen and hidden a portable nuke. Fine is trying to squeeze some info out of him. He's got a gun pulled on him, and he sneezes and then accidentally shoots the guy in the head, which really kind of sets the tone for this movie.
Yeah.
And he's got an earpiece in, and kind of where my Grosse Pointe Blank reference came in. I also could have gone with Spider-Man Homecoming, because in the beginning of the movie, Susan is the guy in the chair.
Mm-hmm.
She's the one who's guiding the hero through from the earpiece, running the tech and doing all that stuff. And they have a really good rapport. She's really good at her job, as is he. And, she's talking him through everything. He ended up sneezing because he forgot to take the allergy meds that she packed for him.
Yeah, it's they have a nice, just long enough conversation about it to be funny.
Mm-hmm. Susan is also very awkwardly flirting with him.
Oh, she's smitten.
Yes, that's a good word for it. He ends up getting pinned down in a boat during an escape, and she calls in a tactical missile strike.
That was just ready.
Back at the base, while all this is going on, there's bats in the ceiling of the CIA.
Yeah.
Which I really enjoyed the recurring rodent infestation
in the basement of the CIA.
Yeah. So that's our opening sequence. Erin, is there anything you want to jump in with at this point?
I don't know. I guess as a fellow allergy sufferer, that's what really sold me on the movie initially.
Yes.
Yeah. I have so much in common.
There's not enough movies that just feature people suffering with environmental or seasonal allergies.
And I think it's an effective way to break down the fourth wall without actually having to acknowledge there's a fourth wall.
Yeah, allergies can lead to disastrous results.
Yeah. I always thought I had something in common with Jude Law, but now I know I do.
Yeah, you both take Allegra for seasonal allergies.
Exactly. We have a Flonase.
Yeah. So over the opening credits, there's some really cheesy Bond song and sequence playing, just to continue with that whole spy movie trope. We then cut to the two of them at a restaurant, kind of celebrating their success in the field. She accidentally eats a towel that she believes is an hors d'oeuvre.
These look delicious. It's real chewy.
Yeah. And again, there's just more banter back and forth. At one point, she's like, "I don't want your muscly hands rubbing Nivea on my back." Back at base, they meet with Elaine Crocker, again, Allison Janney's character, who kind of runs this branch of the CIA. And they're given orders. They got to go after the daughter of the guy that Fine accidentally killed, because she probably knows where this suitcase nuke is. So they go after her. Again, it's Raina Boyanoff, the Rose Byrne character. Susan tells Bradley, I got a bad feeling about this mission. Which, whenever somebody says that in a movie, typically there's no reason why that phrase gets said.
No. Still waiting for the right movie to figure it out.
Mm-hmm. We also meet Nancy early on as well.
Oh, I love Nancy.
Nancy, Susan's coworker, who does a similar job. She's somebody else's, guy in the chair back at the CIA.
Only she's never in the chair.
Yeah.
This poor agent is long dead.
Yeah.
She's too busy helping Susan.
Susan's upset. Bradley doesn't recognize her feelings. They also complain about Karen Walker, who's Morena Baccarin, who's plays another field agent as well. We cut to Bradley Fine sneaking into Boyanov's home, and she immediately gets the drop on him and shoots him dead.
Oh yeah.
We're 15 minutes into the movie, and your like lead character has been shot, and this is all seen first person through like the contact lens, like the camera contact lens that Fine was wearing.
Yeah, and it was kind of shorting out, and she was even warning him about it. Like, I don't. No, it's fine. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Dead.
Yeah. So that caught me a little off guard there that quick.
Yeah.
Like, all right, I originally put that into my goods. I took it out later for for obvious reasons that we'll get to. But like, all right, they killed off Jude Law's character 15 minutes in.
I can't say the movie suffered for it.
Yeah, good for you, movie. But yeah, this is a really fun kind of neat sequence the way they filmed it. With it literally being Susan's perspective on all of this. And Raina's even talking to Susan, like she doesn't know who Susan is, but she knows there's a guy in the chair,
right?
And she's taunting, who the guy in the chair, basically. So yeah. Back at base, they end up reviewing this video, and Susan finds a name on a note that just happened to be sitting there, and it's an associate of Raina, Sergio De Luca.
Well, thankfully, they even in 2015 they had enhanced technology so that they could just enhance. You zoom in on that. Keep going.
Erin A, what do you think of Jude Law?
He's never been one of my favorites, so he was not the reason why I went to see this movie. And to me, I mean, he was perfectly fine, but no pun intended.
Bradley.
But of hunky males in this movie. Of hunky males in this movie, I mean, Jason Statham is just he's the best. Yeah, and Jude Law and
So you would rate on hunkiness, on a scale of hunkiness, you would rate Jason Statham above Jude Law.
Yes, any day of the week.
Wow. Okay.
All 7 days.
Oh, yeah.
That's a pretty there's not one day. It's like discount Wednesdays where Jude Law said this.
But and Jason isn't even the reason why I watched the movie either. I just thought he was absolutely hilarious. I'm not really a fan of the action movies, but yeah, he was perfect in this.
Yeah. So they're still at the CIA base. Crocker's leading a meeting with Rick Ford is there, so we meet the Statham character. There's a couple other field agents there. And Susan is there, and she basically volunteers to track and tail DeLuca, the name of this person from the note they saw. And the reason they had to turn to Susan was because, Raina knows these other field agents. She knows who they are. She knows their identity. She knows their name. And so they can't have any of their normal people do it because she'll be onto them. And so they reluctantly let Susan go. They also suspect a mole, which may or may not come back later.
Well, there's enough rodents down in the basement.
Yeah, exactly. Why not throw another one in there? Later, kind of a throwaway scene. That doesn't have much to do with the plot. But later, Crocker is reviewing some old file footage of Susan training at the CIA's farm training facility, just taking guys out.
Right. Yeah, it's like starting with the mannequins and cardboard, and then the trainers trying to calm her down. Yeah. It's like a Royal Rumble in the training room.
So they give Susan an alias. She's a single mother of 4. they take fake pictures of her. Her and her 4 fake kids are all in ugly holiday sweaters.
She's like, am I their mom or did I kidnap these 4? Am I taking them hostage?
Well, and it's fast forwarding. That's the recurring bit. Is it every fake identity they give her is this early 40 something. Like Midwestern housewife, Kmart shopper,
just pathetic,
sweater wearing,
bingo playing,
exactly, crock pot passing,
Right.
So they give her this alias. Carol Jenkins is the first alias name.
And she's throwing names out too of ones that she would like to have. I don't remember what they were, but they were much better than Carol Jenkins.
Carol Jenkins. I could see Carol Jenkins making a mean casserole.
Yeah.
Yeah, one thing that I thought
Erin,
was really
what's your favorite casserole? If you had to pick a casserole.
Oh gosh, green bean casserole.
Green bean casserole. Mm-hmm. It's a staple. You were about to say something else, Erin.
Well,
go ahead.
I know when Melissa McCarthy's character is talking about a secret identity name, her and her friend are talking about their porn names. And so they're talking about how the friend is supposed to be Amber Valentine. And then Susan says that hers would be Meatball Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. Doesn't quite hit the nail on the head.
Yeah. It's not as subtle.
No.
They then go to, so she and Nancy end up going to Christopher McDonald from Mad TV to get some special equipment, and she's given all these cool spy items, but they're all disguised as like things you would find in like a medical aisle at CVS, like fungal cream, which doubled. I forgot what that doubled as, but we had hemorrhoid wipes that were like chloroform.
Exactly. Drink this if you think you've been poisoned. Yeah, it was a
stool softener. Yeah.
Here's your Beaches watch.
Yes. So they arrive in Paris. They put her up in this awful motel. There's like people wailing in the hall.
Oh yeah.
One of my favorite little subtle parts of this movie is like just the sounds people are making as she's walking through the halls of in this hotel. In my notes, I put down that there's murder sounds everywhere.
Yeah.
Murder sounds. You're not wrong.
Yeah, and during that scene, the director Paul Feig, he makes a cameo at the murder hotel where he walks, I guess, drunkenly right into a wall and just falls down. That is our director cameo in this movie.
There you go.
Yeah.
Often confused with Alfred Hitchcock and Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah. Back at base, Nancy is now Susan's man in the chair.
Yeah.
Ford reveals he snuck into Susan's room. He doesn't trust her. He doesn't think she can do the job. And he lets her know in very colorful language how incapable she is. We get the first in a sequence of bits of him, I guess, telling tales from his past.
Oh, I know. All the things that he's accomplished.
Yes, his accomplishments, the things that qualify him to be the field operative he is. I drove a car off a freeway on top of a train while on fire, not the car while I was on fire.
Right? I gave myself a defibrillator.
Erin, did you have any favorite one of these like throwaway Statham lines?
He says, I like to do things that people don't tell me that people tell me I shouldn't do. And then he says, like, take up piano at a late age. That one always gets me. Like, I always do things that people don't tell me what to do.
Yeah, it was like like the end of his list of things, and then there was that one.
Because of course he took up piano at a late age. The next day, she investigates DeLuca's office, but by the time she gets there, it's already been blown up.
Yeah.
She talks with a local man who was there, and of course, he took a picture of
several.
Things. Yes, and there was a suspicious man there, and so there's just this big trail that they end up following. Ford confronts her again. Susan sees the man in the picture. This man, Ford is carrying this really chic bag with him.
A Louis
and
Vuitton.
The man switches it out while another woman distracts Ford. Yes, it's Louis Vuitton. Thank you. And they planted a bomb on him, and there's a local concert going on.
I wish she would not have interrupted this concert. I wanted to continue watching this concert.
Yeah,
I was into it.
Erin, how would you describe the concert that was going on here in Paris?
Oh gosh, I always thought it was like some type of German group. We know that they're using like auto-tune on the background dancers. The male lead dancers are wearing these crazy silver costumes. Yeah. So it was interesting.
I love it. She grabs the mic to try to get Ford's attention, and it just auto-tunes her voice.
Yeah.
Fine. So eventually she gets his attention, and he throws the bomb bag into the river where it explodes.
She catches him like 8 seconds before.
Yeah.
Which then he gets angry. Like,
Susan then finds the guy who planted the bomb, and she pursues him, and they get into this big fight there, and you see for the first time in person just how physically capable Susan actually is. Like, she can hold her own.
It's like Jason Bourne's cousin. Like,
yeah. And she ends up accidentally killing this guy.
Yeah, yeah, and then vomiting on him.
Yeah. So she finds a camera that this guy had, and so she's online with Crocker and Nancy back at the CIA center, and they're going through this guy's cameras because they're trying to get more info on DeLuca and this assassin's connection. And this was another moment in the movie, Erin, where I was like, really, this is a movie that Erin is suggesting, because as they're going through the camera reel, we get some more info about DeLuca.
Yeah.
But we also see several shots of this man with and it was a prosthetic, but with a
good Lord, I hope so.
Fully erect penis in several pictures.
It was like a Snickers bar. It's veiny.
Once you pop, you can't stop. That's not Snickers.
Pringles,
yeah.
Whatever.
Well, I mean, it was about the size of a Pringles can.
I know. I mean, thank God that was prosthetic. Got John Holmes on speed dial as an extra. Exactly. Aaron's got a water bottle. But yeah, it's just several pictures of. So, like, but it did what a good comedy does. Is it went through the whole range of, that's funny. Okay, stop it. Okay, that's funny again. Like,
it lingered long enough that it was funny, and then it wasn't, and then it was funny again.
Yeah, like Dewey Cox when he's on the phone and that guy's just standing there talking to him.
Yeah, it's just background dong.
Right, but this was foreground dong.
Yes, sure. This was definitely foreground.
Leaning Tower of.
I think Foreground Dong was the name of a Rob Zombie album. But
yeah, he changed it to Dragula.
Yeah, it was the working title of Dragula.
It was a B track, I think.
Yep, Erin, this is what you chose to be a part of tonight, so you're welcome. By the way, this episode, we're on episode 125. We're what, 20 minutes in, and this is probably already the raunchiest episode that we've recorded.
By far.
Yes.
Well, look at your sister.
I know, you bring us down.
Oh my goodness.
She's like, do you guys want to do Spy or Showgirls? We're like, well, we might as well do Spy. Yeah, I love how Aaron, you said repeatedly, I didn't watch this movie for Jude Law. I didn't watch this movie for Jason Statham. I don't know why I watched this movie. Yeah, we do.
Well,
for Melissa McCarthy. For McCarthy.
For Nancy.
Oh, well, Melissa is a Midwestern girl just
Aaron,
like
you were
me.
about to say something?
Yeah, Melissa's but
she is.
And
yes.
I like that the movie is really about female friendship between Nancy and Susan.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And we'll get back to that as we keep on.
Yeah, that really is the core relationship that emerges in this movie.
Yeah.
I do like it. Like it.
So they give her another identity, and they're able to triangulate DeLuca's car. It's now in Rome, so she travels to Rome, and she's picked up by a local contact there, Aldo,
right.
Pete from Shaun of the Dead, as well as the voice of Darth Maul himself, Peter Serafinowicz.
Yeah.
Aaron, would you put Peter Serafinowicz above or below? Like, where does he rate on the aforementioned hunkiness
I would put him in
on your Jude Law
I'd
scale.
put him in the middle, above Jude Law and below Jason Statham.
Okay.
All right. So above Jude Law, interesting.
I don't like Jude Law. I mean, he's fine, but he's, I guess, not my type.
Bradley Fine.
I see what you did there.
Borat.
That was a Borat reference.
Not really, but it will. That's fine.
Aldo is very taken with Susan.
A little bit.
He's very grabby. He's like the Italian stereotype.
Yes.
He's just oozing macho and oozing just maleness.
Yes,
and is very handsy.
This movie was before Me Too, because it might be a little bit difficult to have such a character in today's day.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's a bit out there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Susan eventually, she kind of gets sick of these identities that they give her, and she dolls herself up and goes into a local casino to pursue. She knows DeLuca's there.
She looks good too.
Yeah. Of course, Ford is already there, and he just keeps throwing more insults at her,
and more disguises.
Inside, she sees Boyan off there. So not only is DeLuca there, but she actually spots the big bad that they're really after.
Yeah, Raina.
Yeah. So she reports into Nancy. She ends up saving Raina from being poisoned by Zach Woods' character, who's just like a local assassin. Did they ever really indicate why he was trying to kill her?
No. Other than, I think everybody was probably trying to kill her, but no. Mm-hmm. But it was a way to get Zach Woods in the movie, so that's okay.
Yeah, that's always a plus.
Yeah.
And we got a pretty sweet, like, CGI throat dissolve.
Yes, yeah. He tried to, like, basically, like, put poison in her drink, and they, of course, Susan saves her, and they pull him outside, and they make him drink it, and his throat just disintegrates.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah. So, as a thank you for saving her, Raina asks Susan, like, why don't we go out to dinner? Why don't you get on my plane? You remind me of my mother. We do. Raina throws a lot of shade at Susan as well.
A lot.
The moment I saw you standing there in that abortion of a dress, it's as if you said, "This is what I got, world. It's hideous, but it's mine." I love one of Susan's comebacks is, "You may never be as wise as an owl, but you'll always be a hoot to me."
Sounds like something Lyle would say.
Oh,
yeah, it does sound very Lyle-esque, does it not, Erin?
It does. Very cheesy.
We got to teach him that line.
Oh, gosh. But yes. You know what? You neglected to...
You should watch this with your dad.
You should mention that at the casino, that is when we first see Raina and her atrocious Marie Antoinette wig that she sports throughout this movie, which is a good physical comedy in its own right.
Yes.
It was fun to see Susan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And when Susan finally starts, when she takes on the "I'm your hired bodyguard" persona here a little bit, she starts throwing that shade right back at her.
Yes, she does,
which was fun.
Mm-hmm.
So on the plane, they drug Susan just to kind of check her out and make sure she's okay. And she comes to one of the hired bodyguards in the plane goes to kill Raina. So he's kind of a double agent there. He ends up shooting both pilots. Susan takes him out. Again, she's very capable.
Mm-hmm.
She ends up leveling out the plane. Raina thinks she's CIA, and Susan just lies. Very on the spot, she comes up with this alternate identity. My name is Amber Valentine, which was one of it was
Nancy's name.
Yeah. And your father, your now deceased father, had hired me to be to watch over you and be your bodyguard. And Susan convinces her. She convinces her with sass and insults and
she's already proven she's capable.
Mm-hmm. And so basically she's now this bodyguard. And they arrived to Budapest. Susan is just hilariously giving Raina and Antoine, another bodyguard.
Oh yeah,
just giving it to the guy.
She's breaking him down.
Yeah, she is. While talking to Nancy,
I like all
Nancy
the insults she calls
shows up
Anton.
in person.
Hello.
Crockford Center. So go ahead, Erin.
Sorry, my computer's freezing.
What was that, Erin?
But sorry, going back to Anton, she insults him so much and that he starts to cry. And my favorite insult that she says to him is that he's a reject from The Sound of Music. And she just barrages
like, he just gets really
him.
And like he to the point where like he just starts with like elementary school comebacks, like no, no, I'm not, and she just tears him apart.
So, of course, as they bump into each other, Raina and Antoine show up right away as well. Nancy lies, says her name is Susan Cooper. and then the real Susan, under the Amber alias, ends up saving Raina from a drive-by hit.
Yeah.
She then hops on a Vespa to pursue, this assassin in the car. Amber ends up shooting out the assassin's tires, and it's Karen Walker. It's one of the CIA field agents.
Yeah.
Who ends up pulling a gun on Susan, but an unseen sniper takes out Karen and her partner in the car, saving Susan and allowing her to escape. So there's some twists and turns going on.
Yeah, a little bit, because it's, even then you see her get picked off, and of course, Susan instantly starts looking around like, where did that come from?
Mm-hmm.
Fearing that her cover was blown because she's just having a conversation with her.
Yeah. You think I found myself thinking, that's got to be fun, or that's got to be Jason Statham's character.
Right. Yeah.
Because that's the logic, the logical choice for that. Raina demands that Amber, quote unquote, dress better and get another bodyguard. So of course Nancy arranges for Aldo.
Yeah.
So basically, Raina now has 3 bodyguards: Susan, Nancy, and Aldo. That night, they all go to a club together to meet with a buyer, and it ends up being that same woman in Paris who had planted the bomb on Statham's character.
Right.
Working with DeLuca. Susan sees and fronts a disguised four at the dance floor, and he can't overpower. He tries to physically like show his mettle, and he just can't move her.
I know. It's like a WWE test of strength.
Exactly.
He just, his feet keep wet. But that's a Paul Feig thing of like, we saw Kristen Wiig do the same thing with the chocolate fondue at the engagement party. Like the whole running in place because I can't get any traction joke. Yeah. It's fine. It was funny.
At the club, 50 Cent himself is there in the flesh, playing himself. Takes the stage. The buyer arrives. Susan orders, tells Ford, like, take out that guard, and yells to Nancy to cause a distraction. So, of course, Nancy runs on stage and just tackles 50 Cent, professes her love to him. And I love how she keeps calling him 50 Cent piece.
50 Cent piece.
I love you, 50 Cent piece. Erin, anything you want to throw in with this sequence?
Not really, because the 50 Cent thing, it just and I'd say maybe Ford's disguise of like the European style glasses and the terrible wig and like the weird like loafers he's wearing was it's really funny, his disguise.
Yeah.
So Susan ends up chasing this woman into the streets. And she's like parkouring across cars and things. And Nancy is arrested in the meantime. Susan ends up tracking down this female buyer / assassin in a kitchen in a restaurant like across the street. And they get into this big knife fight.
It's a very, like, it might be the only part of this movie that I thought just felt a tad too long. Like,
yeah, it was a very long knife fight.
Just because we don't know who this person is. Like, we saw her, but it's like she's not established, but it was just a very long knife fight. And a skillet fight. Cast iron skillet fight.
Yeah. And this woman eventually is about to get the drop on Susan when she's hit by a knife that is thrown by Bradley Fine. He's alive.
Yeah, he is.
And he's with Raina. They then knock out kind of a bewildered Susan. She comes to tied up to Aldo. Raina says Fine is her lover, and then they kiss, and Susan, of course, just keeps insulting. You're a loud kisser. You're like some old woman sucking the jelly out of a donut.
I could see the writer's room of this film just being hilarious. Like, of all the stuff that didn't make the cut.
Yeah. Yeah, you wonder how much of this is Melissa McCarthy just riffing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so she's tied up to Aldo, who just keeps hitting on her. Like he just doesn't know when to stop. They end up untying each other. or I guess prior to that, Fine comes in and says that, I'm still with the CIA. I'm trying to get her trust. So it's all this huge deep fake. I fake my death. I'm deep undercover. We show that we see the little flashback as to how he and Raina actually pulled off the ruse on Susan to try to convince everybody that he was actually dead. After taking out the guards, Susan leaves in pursuit as Aldo's completely by himself. And he just mutters under his breath, "One day, Lady Super Spy Susan Cooper, I will you."
Yeah. It's like, whatever.
Yeah. I found it. I was laughing and had that same reaction as you at the same time.
Yeah.
It's like, that's funny, but it wasn't necessary. But it's still kind of
right. Funny. But it's like it's his character. On one, it's like, good for you to just be in awe of a superwoman. But then at the same time, like put your masculinity away.
Yeah. So they're all there in DeLuca's mansion, and DeLuca calls out Fine for being a double agent. "I'm not going to do the deal, Raina, until you shoot him right now, until he is dead." Susan then walks in. A half a dozen of DeLuca's guards are there, and they all pull guns on her. She tells DeLuca about how dangerous this buyer is who's on his way. The guy's name is Solsa Dudez, and apparently
Solsa Dune.
Yeah, him too. And so it's super dangerous guy, and she's like, "I know how to work this situation. I'm best to you alive right now." And so DeLuca ends up going with it. Keep me alive, keep Fine alive. Raina calls out Susan for being in love with Fine, and he's just oblivious. He's just an idiot.
He's Jude Law. Like,
and she even says, like, yes, I love him, but he's too dumb to realize it. So this Dudez guy arrives with a big suitcase of diamonds, big movie cliche suitcase full of diamonds. The bomb has been hidden the entire time in the car that DeLuca's been driving around. DeLuca then shoots Dudez, shoots the buyer to Raina's dismay. And she's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "I'm going to keep the bomb and the diamond. I'm going to milk this as long as I can." As DeLuca's about to shoot Raina, Ford bursts in to save the day, but his trench coat that he's wearing gets caught on the door handle, and he just falls all over himself and loses his gun. I don't know about you guys. I hate it when that happens. Like, if I'm walking through a door and, like, my coat gets caught.
That's why I don't go anywhere if it's cold or rainy.
You don't go anywhere with handles?
No. Because I agree. I hate it when my trench coat pockets get stuck. I was going to be in the Matrix.
Unless that building has a turnstile entrance, I'm not going in.
I will do a sliding door. Like,
yeah. It's got to have motion
sensor.
If
there's no motion sensor, or at least a trigger underneath the mat. Like,
yeah. If I see a knob, I'm out.
Yeah, it's terrible.
So Susan grabs Ford's gun, saves Raina again, takes out all of DeLuca's guards. DeLuca runs to his helicopter, which they've loaded the bomb onto. Susan grabs like the landing gear. Ford grabs her, so she's holding on to the landing gear, and he's holding on to her like by her chest. And he's like using every part of her to try to climb up. He eventually just falls off into the lake.
And then gets mad at her for it.
Yes, it's her fault. And she's like, "I'm going to report you to HR." She ends up in the cockpit, throws the bomb out and the suitcase, which of course opens. Yeah. I love it in these movies. Whenever like you see diamonds falling, there's always like a chime sound, because that's the sound that diamonds would make if they're falling from a helicopter. DeLuca's about to shoot Susan when a second helicopter flies up, and it's Nancy with a gun, shoots DeLuca in the back. Aldo is piloting its 50 Cent's helicopter,
and he's on it.
Yes, and he's also there. And 50's he's getting excited about everything, and Nancy just turns him, "Oh, simmer down, 50 Cent, or I'll mount you again." So So the bomb is fished out of the lake. 50 Cent is there signing autographs. Raina's arrested. There's a little moment between Raina and Susan, like Raina, of course, is upset that she's being arrested, but there's just a little moment of like shared respect between Susan and
after
Raina.
They each tell each other to F you. Like, just a little thank you. You did keep me alive several times.
Yeah, well, you get the idea that Raina, I don't know if enjoys Susan, but there is a respect.
I think so.
She's probably the only person in a long time that's talked to her that
I'm
way.
Sure. Yeah. Honestly, same thing happened in Bridesmaids, like with Rose Byrne. That nobody ever really stood up to her, and then earned Kristen Wiig's respect.
Aldo is there. He reveals he's actually Albert from MI6, or is he? Fine and Crocker are there. They congratulate Susan. They tell her they need her in another mission in Prague. Fine asks Susan out to dinner, but she says, "You know what? I want a girls' night out with Nancy." Yeah. And then we roll to credits, but we do get a mid-credit epilogue scene with Susan waking up after a night of hard partying in bed with Ford, of all people. And that, folks, is 2015's Spy. Yep. Before we get on with everything, Erin, do you have any, just like, what is your final take on this movie before we get into our comedy bits?
Well, like I said, I think it's a fun movie about female friendship at the end of the day, surprising, comedic characters, and some twists and turns along the way.
Yeah. I did not expect the twists and turns. I was pleasantly surprised by the twists.
Yeah, it was a nice addition to what was really just gearing up to be pretty much like a straightforward comedy / Bond spoof kind of thing.
Yeah. I was expecting it to be, like, at best, like the Naked Gun of the spy genre.
Yeah. Not the Austin Powers of the spy genre.
Minus the chest hair.
Exactly.
All right. Well, at this point in the show, folks, we will, all three of us, give our own unique rating to the film in question, 2015 Spy. Erin A., would you like to go first and give your rating for this flick?
I have 2 words. 50 cent piece.
Oh, nice. 3 words, but that's all right.
That's all right. I'm sure Nancy would count it as 2.
It's a compound word. It's a compound word.
50 cents. Oz, how would you rate this?
I'm going to give this just a bunch of golden guns.
Just all the golden guns.
That's what it was missing. It needed some golden guns. What are you giving it?
I'm going to go with, and I didn't mention this earlier, but one of the other accomplishments, feats that Jason Statham had said was that I broke up a poison ingesting ring by ingesting 179 poisons all at once. So I am rating this film with 179 intentionally ingested poisons, which was probably my favorite of his lines.
Because he's trying to impress with, I'm allergic to 100, or what was it?
I'm immune to 179 poisons because I took 179 poisons all at once while fighting a poison ingesting ring.
Just so dumb.
Yeah. So next up, folks, we've got Outside Insights. Oz and I have been scouring the interwebs searching for unprofessional reviews that tickle our funny bones, and we hope they tickle yours as well. Oz, what's your Outside Insight?
Mine is from John on Letterboxd, left just February 18th of this year. He says, my professor in my art of storytelling class put this on for some reason and decided to try to skip the scene with the dude's schlong swinging in front of the camera. But she messed up her laptop trying to skip it and managed to freeze her computer directly on that frame for almost an entire minute. Half star.
For the movie or for the professor?
I'm guessing that just etched into his mind. But I was like, all right, thanks, John. So what do you got for yours?
Mine, as always, comes from the Internet Movie Database. It's a 1 out of 10 review from ADM Admiral RBC, something like that. Admin RBC, left in October of 2015. Ooh, so pretty close to pretty quickly after this movie came out. I think the dialogue of every lead role was 50% F words. I'm thinking, how long did it take to throw this script together? Add to this the graphic in-your-face scene where someone's penis is graphically put on display in any number of angles for about 30 seconds, nudity that has simply nothing to do with the storyline. My wife was highly offended, and I cringe to think how many teen girls would have seen this scene. Hardcore porn has a new outlet. Won't someone please think of the children?
I like it. My wife was offended. Me, I was fine with
it. Bring on the
no
dog.
problem here.
I myself am a fan of prosthetic penises. My wife, on the other hand,
offended.
All right, hey folks, it's that point in the show you've all been waiting for, our signature segment, the 3, 2, 1, in which Oz and I will each share 3 goods, 2 bads, and 1 about the film in question. Spy Erin, please jump in at any point throughout with your commentary on our commentary. I would love to hear your take on our 3, 2, 1s here. Oz, you want to kick us off with your 3 goods?
My first one is Melissa McCarthy and her stunt double. You know, kudos to the two. I doubt Melissa McCarthy did her own stunts in this film, but regardless, very well done, very well acted on the stunt end to give the illusion that this less than Hollywood looking action star would be able to carry this. So good on that. Like, I thought she did a great job. My second is that Paul Feig films they have a feel, and I'm okay with that feel. I almost feel like generationally these directors come in and they've got a thing, like there for a while, like Judd Apatow had a thing, and like all of his movies felt the same way, but that was okay because they worked. Same with the Happy Madison productions of Adam Sandler. Like they all kind of were the same tropes over and over again, but for that little dynamic nugget of time, they worked. And Paul Feig's got that going for him. It works, and good for him. So that's my second good. My third is just Jason Statham playing against type, and clearly relishing the opportunity to do so. Like, just having fun, basically poking at himself, because that's what he was doing. So those are my 3 goods. What do you got?
Erin, anything you want to throw in on that?
No, not really. I mean, Jason Statham was awesome. Yeah, Melissa McCarthy. I mean, obviously she's a bigger girl, and to do the type of physicality that she did in this role is impressive.
Yeah. So my goods, I'm going to actually just take that one a step farther. Melissa McCarthy is absolutely charming in this movie. She's even beyond the stunts and everything, she is a riot. She's just so disarming in her performance as well. It's so great. Like, this role was clearly written for her and her talents, and she just knocked it out of the park.
I agree.
So that's my first good. My second one is simply, I guess how. Again, this kind of, a lot of our goods are kind of overlapping, but I think this is different enough. Just how capable Susan is. Like, she's so, whether she's in the chair, whether she's in the field, whether she's making up, personas on the spot, like, she's good at what she does, even though she doesn't, especially early in the film, she doesn't have a lot of that self-confidence, but even despite that, she's still good at what she does. Like, and she gets even better as she gains that confidence throughout the movie. And my last good, all of the vermin in the CIA office. There's bats in the ceiling. There's mice crawling across people. There's vermin feces everywhere. You'd think that the Pentagon would have a better pest control, but whatever. All right. Well, those are my 3 goods. Erin, do you have any goods that you think we missed?
Yeah, I would say, just the one-liners. There's so much good. I don't know how much was scripted and how much was ad-libbed between, Melissa McCarthy and, some of these other, supporting actors. But I mean, just hysterical one-liners, just one after another after another. I mean, I took even notes, and it's like, I couldn't even write down how many hysterical just one-liners there were. Yeah. Because they had that's another thing, is they had some really good improv moments.
Yeah. Yeah,
Agreed.
Hey, Oz, what are your two bads?
My first one, we kind of alluded to it there with the Aldo character, is there's a lot of unnecessary sexual jokes in this movie. I am very happy that none of them were like weight-based jokes or, really poking at Melissa McCarthy as a person. But there still were just a lot, like it's just unnecessary. And they tried to tie it to certain characters, but just I don't know, it's stuff that at some point was probably funny, but watching it in 2024 just is, I mean, even Rick Ford trying to climb up McCarthy and grabbing the top of her chest for leverage. It's like, it's just, I don't know, just a lot of, there's a certain demographic that probably thinks that stuff hilarious, and I'm not in that demographic. My second bad is a wasted Allison Janney.
That is also one of my possible bads.
Just I mean, this is 2 weeks in a row with Allison Janney. He's just last week. They nailed it. This week is you got her, and then she's still great, but it's like, all right, you've got her. Like let's unleash it and let Allison be Allison. And I mean, it was fine, but I wanted more.
Yeah, agreed. Allison Janney is amazing. More Allison Janney.
What are your two bads?
My two bads. My first one is Jude Law's American accent. Yeah, it was a little spotty.
Yeah, it was fine. Bradley Fine.
Bradley Fine. Ha ha!
Borat reference.
Yeah, I agree. Jude Law, I don't know. Sometimes he's fine in movies. Like I thought he was good in Gattaca.
Yeah.
And other times it's like,
he dials it in a lot.
Yeah, he's all right. Whatever. So yeah, iffy American accent from Jude Law. And my second one is some of the effects in this movie were great. The stunts were great. The throat scene was great, but the CGI plane was bad.
It was.
Yes, during the plane fight scene, they would occasionally cut to like the plane in the air, and it was clearly CG, and they did not pump enough budget.
I'd have rather seen a miniature, like.
Yes, just put a plane on a stick and just wave it around.
I would have loved it.
Erin, any other bads that you think we missed or you want to throw in?
Yeah, I guess in addition to what you guys say, I've watched it so many times that I've seen parts with just some bad editing during the action sequences. Like when Anton gets shot, you can clearly see a dummy. You can see Melissa McCarthy's double and some of those action scenes. So that's something I've noticed because I've watched it so many times.
Fair enough.
Just some better editing.
Yeah, some of the editing in the knife fight scene, it was also, as we mentioned before, a little long, but some of the editing there was a little spotty too. Yeah. Yeah. All right, hey Oz, what's your huh?
Why was the CIA basement so rodent infested? Like I had that as a huh, but I think I had that as a huh before I had any of my other 3s and 2s. But I mean, obviously for comedic effect, but it's like. It was the bat cave down there at the beginning of the movie. It wasn't like we have a loose bat. It was it was Bruce Wayne's back from a mission.
Yes, all the bats were there.
Yeah. So what is your huh?
My huh is kind of a little more meta. How come especially recently, the last like 15 or so years, every female like action star or female action moment has to feature the female character doing like a flying head scissors on a bad guy.
Hurricane Rana.
Yes. Frankenstein.
Exactly.
How come like every female action moment has to have like somebody getting Rey Mysterio?
I was going to say that 619 she laid on it was great.
And it happened. It was towards the end. I was like, "Are we going to get through a female-led action movie without a head scissors?" And no, she head scissors one of DeLuca's bad guys there at the end. Yeah,
and good for that stunt woman that can do the head scissors so effectively because she clearly worked a lot in this era.
Yeah, bring in the head scissors, lady.
Sarah.
We got a shot.
She's just over there with her Starbucks, sets it down.
Ready for my moment of glory, boys.
Slap on the head scissor.
Tag me in. Erin, any other huhs that you want to toss in?
Yeah, I do have one because, Susan's love for Bradley is the impetus to all of this. But at the very end of the movie, she sees how he's got a hairy chest, hairy upper body, and now she's not into him at all. To me, that's a huh. She loves him, loves him, loves him, but then all of a sudden she's not into the body hair and she doesn't want him anymore.
She sees an imperfection and he's gone.
Skipped out on his webbed toes, but that's fine. Or she's into those. Like,
maybe it's a thing. Ask Tarantino. Yeah. So, hey, well, that's 2015 Spy. Yeah. So, Erin, what was it like joining us this week?
Oh, that was so much fun. I wish I wasn't having connectivity problems, but yeah, I'm glad you guys enjoyed the movie, and I'm glad you invited me to join you.
And I think it's cool that there was an old Disney Channel show where there was a little girl that was really a robot. I don't remember what it was called, but it's like they had to like change her batteries and plug her in. And let me look this up real quick because
my mind immediately goes to Small Wonder.
That's what it was. Yeah, Small Wonder.
Small Wonder?
Maybe it wasn't Disney, but it's Small Wonder. But to be fair, knowing Erin is, your little sister, every time that like her like internet would glitch and auto tune it, I always got a little Small Wonder. Like, it's so cool you have a robot sister.
I used to call Erin Small Wonder until she pushed me downstairs, and then
which was hard to do in a one-story home, but
yeah, she actually drugged me by my ankles to a home with multiple stories just to push me down the stairs.
She and your dad spent that whole weekend making stairs.
Yeah, it was a good daddy-daughter bonding experience, building stairs just to push me down.
And then you and your dad bonded the next week in the hospital after you got shoved down. Yep. After-school special right there.
Memories.
We've got one Patreon subscriber movie left. And this one comes from Mandy K. She will not be joining us next week, which is fine.
Horror aficionado,
and
Mandy
I
K.
feel like it's been a while since we've had a horror movie on the show, really.
It has been a bit,
She has brought to the table Wes Craven's New Nightmare, a movie that is now 30 years old.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I got a story I'll tell about me seeing this movie in the theaters. We'll save that for
next directed by Wes Craven. This is a couple years prior to Scream, but really was Scream gets a lot of glory and credit for its meta nature. Well, this Wes Craven movie 2 years prior is equally as meta,
like super meta,
very very meta. And just it is. I would say it's probably my third favorite Nightmare movie. I really enjoy this film. And so we will be back next week to talk about Wes Craven's New Nightmare, the movie that our final Patreon subscriber, Mandy K, has recommended for us. So we are wrapping up this episode. Again, social media, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. YouTube, like, subscribe, all that stuff you're supposed to do. Erin, it has been an absolute delight having you on the show. Yes. We appreciate you coming on. We appreciate your recommendation.
Oh, thanks so much.
It really made this episode fun. So thank you for being here.
So, and so we will be back next week to talk about another laugh riot.
Wes Craven's New Nightmare.
So for another episode of Let's Talk About Flicks, I'm Oz.
I'm Curtis.
And we will see you guys next week.